That's Nick.
And that's Joseph.
And you interviewed another person.
I did.
Again.
I did.
One more time.
I interviewed a director named Ayten Amin for her film Souad, which was it is Egypt's official selection for the 94th Academy Awards in the Best International Feature category. It notably was Cannes 2020 label film, so of course would have played there, but COVID happened. And it premiered actually in the 2021 Berlinale. The lead actresses won Best Actress in Tribeca.
I actually watched this interview.
You did?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like her talking about the development of the film and how she shot it, and
Yeah, she kind of looks a little bit like Marissa Tomei.
sure, yeah. But anyway, enjoy.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Bell. I'm the chief film critic at Ion Cinema, and it is my pleasure to be able to speak with Ayten Amin on her new film Souad, which is the official submission of Egypt for the 94th Academy Awards in the Best International Feature category. So congratulations on that. I think it's also notable to mention you're the first woman director to be selected out of Egypt for this distinction, which is significant. But let's start with origins. I know this film has been with you for a long time, and I'm sure you've had to answer a lot of similar questions about it. Notably, it had the Cannes 2020 label, and we all know what happened with the pandemic. So technically, you premiered at Berlin in 2021 out of Panorama. But let's go back a little further. You've had, it's my understanding that there was a lot of research done in creating Souad, the characters, this world.
Well, I started actually writing this film in 2015. And I started working in it with a co-writer, Mahmoud Azzat. Actually, I had originally this idea. It came from like during my childhood years, because one of my friends at school, her sister committed suicide when we were like 9 or 10. And it was a big thing at the time at school. And since we're in a conservative society in a way, we never talked about it. So actually, till we graduated school, we never talked about it. And I always wondered, how did she deal with it when she was growing up, not talking about what happened to her sister at all. So actually, this was the initial idea for the for the film, and then I started talking about it to Mahmoud, and I was telling him that I wanted to make this film about the two sisters, and I want to set this film outside of Cairo, because I don't know why I really had this obsession to make a film about girls who do not come from the يعني the capital يعني so actually he started Mahmoud he's a poet, and he's a very well-known poet here, and he has like sort of thousands of followers on Twitter. So when I started talking to him about what I was thinking of, he shared a lot of information about some of his followers, and we actually started meeting them. And they all came from small cities, and we started like having folders with their names, and we had like conversations on videos with them for hours, and based on these conversations, we actually started writing the first draft of the script. And then afterwards, actually, we did audition some of the girls, but at the end they did not make it to the film. But what we actually did afterwards was that the auditions that we made were also outside of Cairo, and we auditioned a lot of girls in a lot of small cities.
I like that it was set outside of Cairo, in a city called, if I'm saying this right, Zagazig, which I've heard you
Zagazig.
Zagazig, which I've heard you describe as a place that has sort of an identity crisis. And with Souad's love interest being in Alexandria, I like that. It positions it in a different way, and I think adds to the idea of how social media is everywhere, in a sense. But so throughout this casting process, you're casting and writing at the same time. At what point did you cast your two lead actresses who won a Best Actress award in Tribeca for their performances?
Well, actually, it was like the last year because it was in 2018 that we did the final castings, and at this round I chose the two girls to be the leading roles. But the way we worked was they did not read the script at the beginning. I just told them a lot about the story, and then I kept telling them ideas about some ideas of the scenes, and we were like doing rehearsals and improvisations with these scenes without them reading it. And I used to film them with my phone all the time, and then I would go back to Cairo, to Mahmoud, my co-writer, and I would show him what we were doing during the week, and he would start rewriting the scenes based on what we did in the rehearsals. So actually the script kept coming back and forth between what we were doing in the rehearsals with the improvisations with the actresses and what Mahmoud actually initially wrote with the script. So actually we had the same structure since the beginning, but a lot of the details and the way the scenes unfold, it kept changing according to what was happening during the process of the rehearsals and during even afterwards when we were shooting, because even a lot of the scenes in the film, they were actually ideas that Mahmoud had or that I had about the two girls and their lives, and we would like have this idea for the scene, and then we would start shooting it like a documentary.
Yes.
And it would unfold and it would lead to another thing. So actually what happened at the end is that in the editing room, some of the scenes that were initially in the script, they did not end up in the script, and some of the scenes that were improvised when we were shooting, it became a part of the film. Or
that's interesting, because it does feel a bit like a documentary approach in watching it, in that there's a sense of, I guess, almost neo-realism, and it has a very immediate, a lot of handheld camera work that adds to kind of the visualization of these characters that I really liked, which I was wondering if you had any influences about the look, because I know I'm not the first to say this. It earns comparisons to, say, the Dardenne brothers, if you will. But if that was always on your mind as you started shooting.
Yeah, of course I had a lot of things in my mind when I started shooting. I love the Dardenne brothers. I love Keshish. I love Abdelatif Keshish films. I love John Cassavetes, actually. Yeah. So actually, a lot of their work was, of course, a direct influence on the way I approached Souad. When I initially started working in cinema, this is what I wanted to do, but I thought that at the time I didn't have I didn't watch a lot of films, so I didn't know that it was possible to do these kinds of films. And then when I started watching these films, and I started thinking, that people can really do films this way. So of course it was a direct influence of what I was watching there, and that I couldn't find here, because we don't work in films in Egypt this way. And even when I when I wanted to finance the film, which it was a very long process because no one was convinced that we could pull this off, to do a film with a cast of non-actors, and girls who are coming from small cities, and to have have it partly improvised, and so actually it's yeah, of course I was influenced by this.
And not to lead us down a different road, but Kashish's Secret of the Grain I thought of, but also while watching Souad, but also Hitchcock a little bit with the two women. There's the doubling of the sisters, and or Preminger's Laura, where a woman has to live in the shadow of this other dead woman, and go through some of her similar experiences, which I mean, it's a very sad film, but I really that energy about it.
Yeah, actually Hitchcock was a reference. You know why? Because in Psycho, I love Psycho, and at the same time I watched interviews with him, and I think interviews where I read, but when he was talking about that, he wanted to make this film where he would change the protagonist after 40 minutes or something. So actually I love this idea, and I think I don't think I did it consciously at the beginning, when we started working on the structure of the film, but it was a mutual decision to make this film with the two sisters, and then we change, the protagonist changes midway. I think I was Gordo really influenced by what he did in Psycho.
Okay, yeah, Psycho. I thought Rebecca even. Yeah, I love how that all played out, and it works really well with the first and final scenes as well on the bus with each different sister. I really like that. And I had read or heard you say in other interviews about how you had difficulty funding. But as this all came together, you have Wim Wenders as producer. I'm curious how he came on board, and if a name like that kind of assisted with everything coming together.
So actually, this has like a very interesting story.
Okay.
Because when we started writing, the first film I gave to Mahmoud, when I was telling him about the references in my head about the film, was a film called Alice in the Cities.
Oh yes.
It's in 1974 by Wim Wenders, and we watched it like 3 times, and we talked about it a lot when we were writing at the beginning. And then but we started writing, and it took us years until we finished the film, and when we were selected in Cannes, the film was not finished yet. It was finished editing, but we did not finish the sound and the coloring. Everything was not finished at the time. So actually what happened is we applied for a fund to in the World Cinema Fund with Berlin, and then we were looking for a German co-producer, and Sameh met one of Wim Wenders' company, Leia, in Cannes, and they talked about the film, and she told them, "Oh, we're interested if we like the film, that we might get involved." And then they watched the film, and Wim Wenders watched the film, and he was very interested, and he became a co-producer on the film, and we had this talk about the sound design and everything. So actually, it was like a very weird coincidence.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because the film, when it started, because it was when it started, he was the reference, actually, the first reference in when we were writing. So it was a very weird coincidence that he ended up being one of the co-producers in the film.
Like it was meant to be, almost.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. The sound design actually is very impressive, because there's no score, and you can tell watching this film that a lot of care was taken into establishing the background noise in all of these different sequences, which I imagine took a long time to do.
And
What was what was post production like? How long was the process?
yeah, the post actually, no, it was like for 7 months. We did the sound in 7 months. It took us a really long time because the sound design was a bit complicated because we really didn't have. There was no music in the film, so but at the same time, it has a very specific identity, and I was obsessed with the identity of the two cities and the difference between them, and at the same time, even the identity of the house with Souad and after Souad. What's the difference? And actually, the how to use. We had like this library of each city. When we were shooting, we had a very all of the details of the sound. We had them recorded specifically for the film. So we have the prayer calls in Zagazig is different than Alexandria. We had both of them recorded, and also we had like, because when she goes مثلا to Alexandria, it's on a Friday, and Friday we have the Friday prayers, and it's a very special day of the week for us. So actually, the sound identity it's very specific during this day, because you can listen to the prayers everywhere, and at the same time you have the speech that is before the prayers. So so actually it took us a lot of time to find the right balance between being realistic and at the same time using the sound to have this intimate feeling with the characters, because we were using it even because sometimes you're like inside the head of the characters, so you listen the silence, it's different than the realistic sound. So actually it really took us a long time. We had a large team of sound designers till we actually worked with a Lebanese actually sound designer. He's yeah. So actually we ended up working with him because he used to live in Egypt for a while, and he was very familiar with the culture, and at the same time he was very creative with all of the sounds we had, because the film is really loud. We have a lot of loud voices, and he understood completely that I didn't want it to be a quiet film at all. That I just wanted to select what you hear, but I still wanted it to remain loud. So actually I think this is why he was very he understood completely what I wanted in the film.
I think that the detail is impressive on every level, actually, besides sound, but it really does come across. And I know you work you kind of bounce back and forth so far between television and art house cinema. I know you over the past year have been working on a new series for Netflix, but it's my understanding you're also working on a new project with your screenwriter.
Yes. We're working on a new project, but we're still working on the treatment.
Okay.
But I'm shooting now the TV series, so when I'm finished shooting, I think we will go back on working on the treatment.
So you're very busy. That's good. So that's exciting. But again, thank you for taking the time to speak with me about your film, and good luck going forward. And I look forward to catching up on your past films and television that I haven't seen, and what you accomplish next. So thank you very much.